Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly rundown where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Media Boat Podcast. Today is May the 22nd, 2025. This is episode 488. We are getting so close to summer, you can taste it. You can taste the Memorial Day hot dogs.
You can taste the sweat beating straight down your face thanks to not that global warming, of course not.
No, of course not.
All right.
But with summer comes news. We have a bit of news to get to, as well as a couple thoughts. So let's get right into it.
Let's go right into this where we start with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. The hottest song in the land is still, for it feels like 3 months now, Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. Coming in at 2, Ordinary by Alex Warren. At 3, Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. Coming at 4, a Bard song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. And rounding your top 5, Nokia by Drake. Hey, all that sounds very familiar.
Yep, no moves in the Hot 100 this week. It is the same as last time.
Well, let's go over to the Billboard 200, your albums chart, where your number one album in the land is Even in Arcadia by Sleep Token. At 2, Sincerely by Kali Uchis. At 3, SOS by SZA. Coming in at 4, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. And rounding out your top 5, Some Sexy Songs for You by Party Next Door. And Drake.
Yep. The surprise here is that Sleep Token, a rock band, has made your number one here. This happens every once in a while, and it's always kind of surprising when it does. But yeah, sure enough, it was slow enough music week that we get a random ass number one.
Yep. But I think we all know what next week's number one's going to be,
Unfortunately,
and
we
it's
do.
going to be a problem.
Yeah. But we'll get there when we get there. Actually, more accurately, you'll get there because I won't be here.
That's right. But at least we know who the problem is
Yes.
in come next week.
Yes.
But if you like any of those albums, we have new releases,
We do.
starting with Hunting Season by Home Is Where.
Mm.
There's also Music for People Who Believe in Love by Joe Jonas.
Yes, that Joe Jonas.
We also have Mad, all caps with an exclamation point, so you know they're
Mm.
seriously mad, by Sparks. Instant Holograms on Metal Film by Stereolab. Room on the Porch by Taj Mahal and Kebmo. And lastly, Crooked Wings by These New Puritans.
Mhm.
So, what do you think? Are they going to be able to fix those crooked wings?
I think that's a different song.
That is definitely a different song. All right. Let's get into the music news. And, they say a lot of stuff out there, and I don't give a damn about our reputation. But there are people out there who do give a damn about Taylor Swift's reputation.
Mhm.
Not her reputation, but rather reputation Taylor's version,
Yes.
because that could just be out of the horizon. Or is it? Because fans have been closely theorizing that Taylor Swift is ready to announce the next album. And on Monday night, they got a taste of what to expect as Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor's version, got a prominent spotlight in a new episode of the final season of The Handmaid's Tale. although it wasn't quite the complete version of the much anticipated track, as most of the song played out over the suspenseful opening to episode 9, with a couple of full verses and choruses heard in the 2 minute plus sequence. There's been recent chatter that Swift could be gearing up for the official announcement of Reputation, Taylor's version, at the upcoming American Music Awards on May 26th. On her official merch site, fans have conveniently noticed that the homepage was reorganized as apparel, music, accessories, and sale. And wouldn't you know it, the first letter spell out AMA.
Yes.
So are we ready for another Taylor's version?
I mean, sure. This is one of the ones that's always been kind of a mystery to see how she would re-record. As it's the only era, as Swifties will tell you, that did not have any bonus tracks. There were no bonus tracks amended onto Reputation after its release. So there's a big question mark when it comes to what the vault material is here. This was notoriously a quiet time for Taylor. I think the only track that I think you can bundle in here that hasn't already been bundled in from this era, I think is I Don't Want to Live Forever featuring Zayn. I think that's in this time span. But besides that, everything is already here. So what are the Reputation vault tracks? Is there stuff that she's been hiding for this whole time? Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is where the announcement comes. I feel like she's due. She's been very quiet. She loves to announce it at award shows, and the AMAs are basically rebooted. They've been essentially relaunched. They're not the old AMAs. And so they might want Taylor to deliver such news on their platform as opposed to the Grammys to try to relaunch the award show as a bigger deal. And yeah, they're on. I have a note here that says they're on CBS, which is strange. Like for because of course the AMAs was always ABC's answer to the Grammys, so it's
But
very
they're
funny now
switching
with
now.
right with new ownership that we're going to see that change. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and yeah, I'm ready. Reputation is not my favorite Taylor Swift album. I have my issues with it, but I
It's
am.
most people's not their favorite Taylor Swift album,
Yeah, I
especially when
guess
it came
so.
out.
I mean, I would say it's my least favorite, but now Tortured Poets exists. So there's that. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for to hear what these Reputation tracks sound like.
Maybe you just don't like covers that are in black and white. Because you don't like folklore either.
No,
Just like Evermore.
to be fair, I think Folklore is very good. I just like Evermore more than Folklore, which is a rare opinion, but I don't hate it by any means. I think it's a
I'm
very
just
good
saying,
album.
all three of them are black and white album covers, and you have a tendency right there. Just put all three right at the bottom. Just
No, I don't think I
saying.
would put Folklore near the bottom. I think that Folklore is at least above 1989 and to me. So, anyways,
Yeah,
we don't
that's
have
fighting
time to
words right
rank
there.
Taylor's. Yeah, we don't have time to rank Taylor Swift
You're
records.
right. We already did that
We already did
2 years
that.
ago.
That was songs, was it?
Yeah,
That was
those
songs.
songs.
Anyway, but yeah, sure, I'm ready. Bring it on,
Yep.
Taylor.
All right. I mean, could stir the pot for new material.
Yes.
All right. Uh, did you listen to anything?
I've caught up on a lot of stuff actually, but nothing super relevant here. I'll just do a brief shout out to Media Boat favorite Maren Morris, though. Her new album, Dreamsicle, is
Dreamsicle.
out.
Mhm.
This is her kind of pop crossover record with an asterisk. I'm going to put that asterisk because if you guys listened to the show, you might remember I covered an EP of hers from last year. And the surprising thing about this record is that Dreamsicle actually contains every single one of those EP tracks, and that takes up about half of the runtime of this album. So that's why I'm not really going to talk about it here because I was like, by the time I finished it, I was like, well, I had already heard the best songs on this thing. So I felt a little weird about Dreamsicle. But if you missed that EP, I do think Dreamsicle is worth your time. Check it out if you like Maren Morris. It's a more poppy sound for her. But I just didn't think any of the songs I hadn't already heard on that EP were that notable. But yeah, it's good for what it is.
Thank you for that reminder because I was wondering
Yes.
like why all these songs sounded very familiar. I thought just that
Yes.
Maren Morris was very in her own element in this in Dreamsicle,
No.
which is
No, it's
also why it
because
was
we
very
lit
forgettable for me.
Yeah, no, it's literally because we had heard those songs before.
That's what
Like
it
that is
was.
why. And so I was kind of disappointed, honestly, with my experience. But again, if you missed that EP, it's new to you. So it won't matter as much. It was a unique situation for me.
Speaking of things that might be new to you, there's a new album out by Avicii
Wait,
posthumously.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yes, album called Forever. And this isn't any new material. This is really just a greatest hits album.
got
It
it.
came out under the new releases, so I was like, oh, I'll put this on. I like this enough. And put me right back 15 years ago. And yes, it has been 15
Yep.
years.
Yeah,
Uh,
just about.
just about. But yeah, it's just a greatest hits of Avicii's greatest songs.
Yeah.
It's runs fast. It's if you haven't listened to Avicii, you just want a good compilation album. Here it is. You don't have to put it
Mm.
on any like playlist for it. It's all right there in Forever.
So this has the ones you'd expect. This has levels. This has Wake Me Up.
Hey brother, it's got the
Hey,
hits.
brother. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Avicii.
All right. Yeah. All right. Then let's go into video games where we have
All right.
new releases, starting with Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny, specifically 2025 remaster for the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch.
Yep.
And also to a T for the
Yes.
PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
So yeah, To a T is Keita Takahashi's new game, if that name doesn't sound familiar to you. He is the Katamari Damacy creator. Also, less notably, the Nobi Nobi Boy creator. Remember Nobi Nobi Boy? Anyways, 2T looks cute. It's basically the main character stuck in a T pose. Um, I don't know much about it. I've been keeping kind of a mystery because I'm really curious to just see the game itself. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this to come out.
All right. But yeah, new releases and more news will be coming out over the next coming weeks because Summer
Yes.
Games Fest in June.
Yes. I believe that happens after I come back, thankfully.
Yes, that is
I
not the
don't think it
first week in
happens the
June.
week I'm
That is the
going.
second week in June.
Oof.
The starting the week of the 9th through the 13th.
Yep, Keely, whatever you want to call it, Summer Game Fest, Summer Games Fest, Kelia-palooza 2025. It's happening.
The E3 replacement,
Yeah. New E3, Neo E3,
what,
E3
whatever you want to
2025
call it,
reboot.
it'll be back when Matt returns, and we'll talk about
Yes,
that then.
exactly. I will
But
bring the
before
party
that,
back to Los Angeles.
we've got a little bit of a AI controversy, and it's
Yeah.
with Epic Games, but not specifically with Apple this time. No, this is a different
Oh,
controversy with that they're under. Specifically with SAG-AFTRA, the labor union for American actors.
yes.
Well, they have criticized Epic Games' addition of a Darth Vader AI chatbot in Fortnite and accused the company of unfair labor practices. Fortnite added the Darth Vader chatbot with its latest season, which allows players to interact with the character, who will respond with the iconic voice of the late actor James Earl Jones. Epic says Jones's AI-powered voice was used with permission from his family. However, SAG-AFTRA argues that the tool still takes away from other actors who could have voiced the character in his video game form. Quote, we celebrate the right of our members and their estates to control the use of their digital replicas and welcome the use of new technologies to allow new generations to share in the environment of those legacies and renowned roles. However, we must protect our right to bargain terms and conditions around uses of voice that replace the work of our members, including those who previously did the work of matching Darth Vader's iconic rhythm and tone in video games. Period. Close quote.
See, a while ago, we reported about how Disney had announced the intention of using Darth Vader, or sorry, James Earl Jones' voice for Darth Vader after his death via AI. This is the first product, I believe, that's not a Star Wars movie or television show that has used his voice. Is that correct?
Correct, because we reported previously, while James Earl Jones was still alive,
Hmm.
that he gave Disney, or rather Lucasfilm, the permission to use his voice
Hmm.
after he passes
Yeah,
in the Darth Vader capacity,
right.
specifically for uh, Lucasfilm projects. And here's where
Yes.
it gets interesting: is that
Yeah.
is Fortnite considered part of Lucasfilm? Because,
No.
as the story mentions, there have been other Darth Vader incarnations in video game format.
Yeah.
Not really more recently, but more iconically in the Force Unleashed games
Yeah.
and Force Unleashed 2.
Also important to note here that this is part of a Disney partnership, if you recall, that began with a huge Disney investment in Epic just a
Mhm.
couple of years ago. We're seeing kind of the fruition of that here. But yeah, so SAG-AFTRA I think has a really salient point, though. As you mentioned, the stipulations of this deal sounded different to the rest of us than apparently Epic interpreted it. And two, I think what makes this unique is that it is a essentially a bot that you can communicate with, which means that you can, just like most limited language models, as we're finding out with ChatGPT and all these other different models, you can make them and coerce them to say things they probably shouldn't be saying. And in fact, it was very, very quick, as you would imagine, because the internet is always very fast, that people started posting videos of the Darth Vader bot saying some things that Darth Vader should not be saying. Of course, Epic saw this and immediately issued patches trying to patch out that behavior in the Darth Vader bot. But once you uncork that bottle, it's already out. And that's the thing, is that we see this a version of the story every single time now when an AI bot is implemented in everything, right? Is that they start doing stuff that they're not supposed to do and they have to come in and fix it. It's like the very technology is broken, and that's on top of the argument that SAG-AFTRA is making about it stealing an opportunity away from a voice actor that could play Darth Vader. Of course, could that voice actor interact with you like an AI bot? No, unless they had a similar kind of bot created on their voice. But what I'm saying is it's the dual issue, right? It's like not only is this a problem for labor, this is also a problem for technology that is doing things it shouldn't be doing in a game that ostensibly kids could be playing. Yes, I realize the Battle Royale mode where you interact with the AI bot is rated T, so technically 13 and up, but you know kids under 13 have been playing Battle Royale on Fortnite. That's not gonna, like, a T rating is not gonna stop them. So, you know what I mean? It's a it's a chaos tornado of a story, and it's all broken.
Right. This was after Epic and Fortnite, a little bit of a follow-up story from last week,
Mhm.
actually finally got Fortnite back on Apple iOS
Yes.
devices.
It is officially back on the store. Apple stopped blocking it or whatever complication was keeping it from being added again. I do want to note though that appeal has not gone, like, has not been tried yet. So we have to still wait and see whether this gets reversed. Uh, but we'll see. Already, I've heard since last week, a lot of app developers have patched their apps to include payment, basically payment portals that go straight to them instead of through Apple's. So starting as of this ruling, you are now able to pay directly to these apps. The one important one to mention is Patreon. If you previously were avoiding paying someone through Patreon via Apple's iOS app because it was more expensive, that is no longer the case. All that money will go to Patreon now.
Right. You hear that? All that money on our Patreon will come directly to us.
Our Patreon is long dead. What are you talking about? I don't think I've even looked at it. I don't know if the login works. I have no idea what's been going on there. It's a ghost town.
All
Anyway,
right. Well, anyways, back to the main story here. Yeah,
yes.
you're right. It is twofold. It is taken away
Yep.
from SAG-AFTRA, and it's AI chatbots slowly being used and essentially desensitizing us to be
Yeah.
in every location. I mean,
Hey.
there's websites where after you log in, after a minute, a little chatbot will pop up and say,
Yes.
"Hey, I'm here to help. You seem
Constantly.
lost." Like, no, I know where I'm going. I don't need you. But you know,
Yeah.
there's that
And
generation crossover though between I will just type in here and it'll give me exactly what I want to do my own search.
and guess what? It's only going to get worse. As of last night, the Republican-led House of Representatives passed a bill that has a lot of bad, broken stuff in it. But one of the bad things in it is that it potentially will keep states from enacting laws, basically banning or censoring AI use for 10 years. This will go to the Senate next if this passes. That means legislation that's already in progress in states such as here in California, trying to control AI use, um, will not be able to pass, will not be able to be enacted federally. So, yeah, it's going to complicate and kind of leave AI in this freewheeling Wild West mode for at least the next decade. And that is extremely scary and dangerous. But,
Well, don't worry, it'll only take AI 3 years, not the full 10 years, to officially overthrow us. Because in three
ugh.
years, it's the Olympics.
Don't even bother saying that. I just read the for my job for job reasons. I just read through the May revision of the California state budget, and when I scrolled down to, I know I'm
Yes.
35. It's disgusting. When I got to low enough on that document to see two sections named 2026 FIFA World Cup and 2028 LA Olympics, and I started withering away. I was just like, oh God, those are both happening. Ah.
Yeah, they are.
Anyways.
So yeah, anyways, as you mentioned, we don't talk politics here, but if you want to read through the 1100 page budget, you can, assuming it passes.
We'll see. By the way, that's my favorite joke that we running joke on this podcast is that we don't talk about politics.
It's right up there with it's a business and
Yeah,
Morgan Wallen.
put it on a t-shirt. Don't put Morgan Wallen on a t-shirt. But anyways, all right, let's move on.
Just means the stuff we don't talk about.
Yeah,
Politics, business,
Morgan.
Morgan Wallen.
He's a media boat enemies list.
Politics, religion, Morgan Wallen. Just right there. Those things.
All right. Anyways,
Anyways, no, sometimes it's just for us. Speaking of something that's just for us,
this is always just all been just for
I
us.
forgot to ask you in music section real quick. Did you have
Yes.
to look up tickets for the Future Ruins on Wednesday?
No, I didn't check it out. Did you?
I did. Uh,
Was it
I was hoping to have
insane?
some VIP stuff. I thought it was pretty good. Go
Oh,
VIP, like reach out for it. No, got sold out within
yeah.
like minutes. I don't know how much it is there. But
Yeah.
regular tickets, $300 if you
Whew.
want to go
Ooh,
for one
okay,
day.
never mind. Never mind about that. Never mind.
Yeah. What
Well,
one day, $300.
someone will have fun
So
someday.
people will have fun. Not us, but people will have fun.
Maybe they'll live stream it.
I forgot to add this. Speaking of the Olympics, television and
Yes, yes.
sports.
Yes, sports.
If I could type.
Typing is not an Olympic sport yet.
No, not yet. But you know what is an Olympic sport coming up?
Flag football.
Yes. And the
Yes.
NFL owners have officially met this past week to discuss new rules and regulations for the upcoming league.
Yeah.
Spoilers, tush push,
I was gonna
not
say
banned.
you're burying the lead here because that's the big NFL news that I saw this week, which is yes, they aren't taking away the tush push. Take that, Packers.
Yes, the tush push is moving forward 1 foot at a time, 1 yard at a time.
One butt at a time.
Yes, one butt push at a time.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right.
We're gonna
Yes.
look at that in December and be so proud of ourselves.
I will. But yeah, they did not pass the motion to get banned, so Tush Push will resume this upcoming season. But they also voted about players and player safety and whether players should be able to complete in the upcoming 2028 LA Olympics because flag football is now a thing. And so they thought, they hemmed, they hawed. Ultimately, they said, you know what would make our league more valuable? Is if we could get Patrick Mahomes a gold medal. Because LeBron has a gold medal. And the NFL players, no one, not even the great Tom Brady, has a gold medal until he comes out of retirement to play flag football because you know he will. Or he'll be a coach to get a gold medal because you know he will. But yeah, officially now, NFL players are okay to compete in the upcoming 2028 flag football LA Olympics.
Yeah.
I assume this was done because if they did not agree to this, guess who would fill that void? That's right, the UFL with their paid players who would say, yeah, sure, go ahead. It's great publicity for us. And the NFL wanted none of that.
And also, this is unique, right? Because this is the first time, if I'm under the correct
Correct.
assumption,
Yeah.
that this is any kind of football, not soccer, you pedants, has been involved in the Olympics. So yeah, it's the first
Yes,
time you
flag
can get a
football.
medal as a football player.
Yeah. So
That's
now
cool.
you can start crafting your dream team of Joe Burrow throwing it all the way back to his college days. To wait, no, sorry, maybe his college days because he's still on the team. Both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase because they're still playing. But yeah, you can assemble a full LSU alumni team probably to play on the Olympics. Because I know I've tried to do that in my fantasy team, did not work, but you could.
It's okay.
It's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
cool.
Let's see here. Other sports related news happened, including another firing in the MLB.
Yes.
The Orioles have fired their head coach. Waited 2 days after the Rockies to fire him, but hey, that means the second job opening this upcoming season.
I mean, it makes sense when you consider the two teams that people have especially been like, what the hell's happening over there? Are Colorado and Baltimore. And so, yeah, to see this happen, this makes sense.
Yep.
I feel like the Angels would have been in that conversation too. If they hadn't just enjoyed randomly a 6 game win streak and are on fire right now.
To be fair, they did play against the Athletics. I can't say
Yeah.
what their home state team or home city because they don't have one.
Yeah, but before that, they swept the Dodgers, which is the first time the Angels have ever swept a world championship team. Fun fact.
Miracles do happen.
Miracles do happen. But yeah, so the conversation is about other teams this season, and I'm happy to see it. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how they fill those leadership spots on both those teams. The Orioles specifically are a sad story because unlike the Rockies, the Orioles looked really promising last season, and we thought we were going into a year of success for them. And it's just
They
not coming
looked on the
together.
up and up the past couple seasons,
Yeah.
especially making the playoffs.
I mean, it's been a competitive year, so it's not super surprising, but at the same time, it is
The
sad to see.
Orioles, the Orioles also make sense because they did invest a lot of money into the team the past several years, and to be at the bottom is not
Yeah.
what you want to have your money go to. So you got to make
So
changes.
yeah, something had to give, and this is what happened.
Yep. But other stuff happened on the diamond, including an immaculate inning.
Yeah.
Yeah, not an impossible inning. No,
No.
an immaculate inning. There's a difference though.
Yes.
Cal Quantrill of the Marlins, yes,
Hmm.
that's right,
Yeah.
threw an immaculate inning, which is 3 strikeouts over
Mhm.
9 pitches.
So yeah, 3 men up, all struck out.
Man
And
up,
no
nine
extra
pitches,
pitches.
3 men
Yeah.
down.
It's rare. There's a reason why they call it immaculate. Like it does not happen very often. Yeah,
No.
always cool to see.
And like I said, it's from the impossible inning, which is
Yes.
3 outs over 3 pitches.
Yeah, you have to get like flyouts or yeah, something
You
very
have to get your
easy.
batter swinging at the first pitch every
Right.
pitch.
And yeah, unless they're, I don't know, the San Francisco Giants. It's not usually going to happen that often.
Or you just have 3 Otanis up in a row who are always swing at the first pitch no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
All right.
been a good week in baseball though.
Yeah,
I will be going to a game on Saturday night, so
all
I'll
right.
report back.
All right. Over in the NBA, the playoffs continue, and
Yes.
a couple of the top two teams who you thought would make the playoffs and
Hmm.
would thought would be in the finals are officially eliminated: the Celtics and the Nuggets, which
Yes.
means that for 2025 there will be a new league champion between, and a lot of firsts here, or at least first in a while. The Oklahoma City Thunder will not make the finals since 2012. The last time they were only in the finals, where they lost to LeBron James and Miami Heat. They are playing up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have never in their entire franchise made the NBA Finals. And when they had Kevin Garnett,
Hmm.
sorry, Kevin Garnett, anything's possible, uh, on the team. They are in the West. Over in the East, you have the Indiana Pacers, who
Hmm.
haven't been in the finals since 2000, where they lost to Kobe and Shaq in the Lakers,
Yeah.
versus the New York Knicks, who haven't been to the finals since 1999, where they lost to the Spurs, Tim Duncan
Hmm.
and Greg Popovich and the Spurs. Fun fact, out of these 4 teams, only the Knicks have a championship between them, all the way back in 1973
Woo.
when they beat the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, and of course, last night's big story was the big upset. Everybody thinking that the Knicks were going to easily beat the Pacers in that game one. Could not pull it off in a crazy game. I looked at my blue sky at about like 7 o'clock or so, and it was just everybody was just posting the word basketball. I
Yes,
was like, oh, I guess some real basketball is happening.
yes. Last night's game was intense going into overtime off
Hmm.
a rebounded bouncing ball that was partially three, but because the toe was on the line, counted for two to send it overtime.
Damn.
Otherwise, all these NBA games in the
Yeah.
playoffs, I've just caught every glimpses here and there about them.
It seems
Every
like
time I
they've been
turn them
really
on,
good.
they're always
Yeah.
intense. They're always good. Same thing with the hockey playoffs. They're still going. Always intense. Always good. There's just
Yeah.
something about this year that everyone's just giving it their all. I mean, normally
I
they
prob
always do,
yeah.
but you don't typically what you've seen both like even the NFL and MLB and the NBA. Like, anytime there's a professional like league and they get the playoffs, your 1 seed or 2 seed more times than not end up becoming like the favorites and getting to the
Mhm.
finals. Not the case here with the NBA.
No.
It's
It's cool
wild. I
to
mean,
see.
yes, OKC is seeded first,
Yeah.
but everyone else got eliminated. The Timberwolves were seeded 6, the Pacers were seeded 4, even the Knicks seeded number 3 in here. So
Yeah.
lots of intensity, lots of good, just sports in general. If you're not watching
Yeah.
the sports, just
I
turn the game on.
yeah.
Even if you don't care who wins, just turn the game
I,
on for great competition.
yeah, I would love to watch these games, but they're all at the same time as baseball, and also I don't have cable, so it's like basketball's pretty impossible for me to watch right now.
Unless you have HBO Max.
But I do, but it's always at the same time as
I was baseball.
baseball. Anyway, also at the same
Anyway,
time as baseball, NHL hockey.
yeah, playoffs continue. Hockey continues.
Yes.
Um, yeah, like I said, great games going on. College World Series for baseball, other baseball, college baseball.
Yeah.
Uh, their super regionals and regionals are starting to starting to wind up, not wind
Mhm.
down, wind up, trying to get seated, trying to see who's going to be placed where. That will be into June, and we'll talk more as we get over there.
Cool.
But I completely skipped some other sports that happened
Yes.
across the way. Your PGA champion over in golf is none other than Scotty Scheffler, who shot -11 over the past weekend. We also have Carlos Alcaraz at the number 2 rank, beating Jannik Sinner, the number 1 rank, to be the Rome Italian Open in Rome. And then we had Jasmine Paolini beat American Coco Gauff to win the Women's Open in Rome.
Got it.
Uh,
Janik Sinner, he's in that movie, right? With Michael B. Jordan.
no, that's Sinners. All right. Let's see here. Triple Crown. There was also the horse racing, the Preakness that happened this
Yeah.
past weekend, which I'm trying
Yeah.
to practically see.
It's okay. We don't really need to bother
Okay,
with the Preakness.
we do because journalism won.
Wait, I thought he wasn't competing.
He was.
Oh, is he not competing in the third one? Is that what it
I
is?
think that's
Because
probably what you saw.
I saw that there wasn't going to be a triple
Triple
crown because
Crown.
he wasn't going to compete in all three.
That's why, yes.
Okay, so
Journalism
he
did
competed in.
win in the Preakness. Yeah, number 2 was Gosling, number 3 was Sandman. But
Right.
because they won't compete because of injury,
All right, right.
that's
Never
where I
mind.
saw it.
Journalism didn't win the Kentucky Derby. That's right. I got confused. Sorry.
Yes.
Journalism lost the Kentucky Derby, but won the Preakness. Okay,
Yes.
got
Journalism
it.
was supposed to win. They had the best
Yeah,
odds going into the Kentucky
and
Derby.
didn't win up to what was it? Not Society or something like that. It was like I forget who won the Kentucky
Horse
Derby. It doesn't
racing.
matter. Anyway, horses.
Anyways,
They race
that's it
sometimes.
for sports.
It is, which means we can now move on.
Sovereignty. Sovereignty
Sovereignty.
one.
That was close.
Yes.
Society.
Society,
Anyways,
sovereignty,
same deal.
journalism,
Yeah.
regular horse names.
Commentary. All right, let's move on to television news this week. And yeah, we have a rare good news story. Something has been resurrected, and kids everywhere are thrilled as the long running institution Sesame Street will not die and will return to television thanks to Netflix. Netflix has inked it.
Boo.
Well,
Wait,
they're a
hold
weird
on.
company. For every story where they're doing something real stupid, there's always some story where they do something real dumb, positive, like parentheses, positive. And this is one of those positive stories. They have inked a deal with Sesame Workshop for new episodes of the long running children's show Sesame Street, just months after Warner Brothers Discovery opted not to renew its output deal for the program in a strategic shift at its streaming service, HBO Max. In a notable change from the HBO deal, new episodes of Sesame Street will also run day and date on PBS and the PBS Kids app, just like they used to, ensuring that they are easily accessible. Sesame Street has been available on PBS for more than 50 years, though during the HBO deal, the episodes debuted on PBS months after their HBO premiere. The Netflix deal begins later this year with season 56 of the program, where it will be reimagined, as we've previously reported, with the show dropping its magazine style format in favor of a longer segment, joined by a new animated element called Tales from 123. The new season will be released in 3 batches, as Netflix is wont to do, and like the story says, will premiere later this year. So yeah, good news. Sesame Street is not dead. It will come back in full force. Will be reimagined, rebooted, if you will. And yes, the most important part of the story, though, is that day and date with PBS, because this means that people who do not have the money to get a streaming service like Netflix will have access to their local PBS station as long as it's funded by viewers
Not
like
just,
you.
yes, but viewers like you, not just their local PBS
Yeah.
station, but also the PBS Kids app as well.
Yes, which is free. So that's exciting. This is all very exciting news. I know Christy is thrilled. Children's librarians love Sesame Street.
Kids love Sesame Street. There's
Kids love
adults
Sesame
who
Street.
love Sesame Street.
Your kid's gonna be about Sesame Street age pretty soon here.
Oh, you assume we're gonna make them watch Sesame Street?
You should. Sesame Street's great.
We will talk about that. We're trying to get it more into like the uh World Series right now. Just regular baseball, just regular NBA playoffs.
He can watch both, you know. You can sit him in front of actual kids' entertainment and also sports. You don't have to indoctrinate the kid with 24/7 sports.
Well, we just indoctrinated him with Star Wars because it was May the 4th.
Well.
We just showed him Lilo and Stitch.
The original, yes.
Yes, not the new one that comes out this upcoming weekend, which we'll get to in a minute here.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay.
But no, yeah,
Anyway.
because we're a kids party and there's a big there's a Stitch costume. And so he's like tugging and like petting and it was yes, like we gotta show up now, like what Stitch actually is.
I mean,
Um,
that movie's
that
not
movie,
super appropriate for his age, but sure.
no, but also that first like opening 20 minutes is set in space, and
Yeah.
yeah, the reminder like, oh yeah, Stitch is an alien with an
Yeah.
alien body, not the Stitch that you see
Yeah.
everywhere.
Also, still a great movie. That movie really holds up in some surprising ways now.
You can thank Chris Sanders for that.
It's really good. All right.
All
Anyways.
right. Anyways, let's thank someone else for this upcoming thoughts here.
Yep.
Do we have to thank Evan Goldberg for this, or do we have to thank Seth Rogen for this?
I mean, you can thank them both.
Do we have
I
to?
understand.
Because there was one
Yeah.
episode where they tried to thank Seth Rogen and his character, but ultimately got cut off. So do we
Anyways, yes.
have to?
You're talking about the studio, which I've been kind of talking about on and off for the last few weeks as I've been watching it. And this is an Apple TV Plus show. And as the name implies, this is about a studio, a movie studio, and Seth Rogen plays the president, the executive, like
The executive,
yeah, the president. But yeah, we've been talking
the
about it
studio
throughout.
head.
And when I initially watched the pilot, I wasn't super sure about where we were going, about what kind of show this was going to be. But I have to say, every week it surprised me in new ways. Every week it made me laugh probably more than a show has maybe since 30 Rock. It has been extremely consistent. It has been inside baseball in a way that I underestimated, like how inside it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think easily this is probably one of the best TV experiences I've had in a very long time. I am 100% on board with the studio. This is probably my favorite thing that Seth Rogen has been involved with. I like Superbad, okay. It's not one of my favorite movies. But yeah, like I'm just shocked with how much I've really enjoyed the studio.
Yeah, like you said, it's a lot of inside baseball, which we know about.
Yeah,
Hello, degree hanging on my wall.
right.
You are being used here.
Yeah, Christy asked me if CinemaCon was real.
Yes, that is a real thing. We
And
cover
I
that
said,
here.
yeah, it's real.
We cover it here.
It's
we
real.
want to. We want to when there's actually like big breaking news coming out of it. But yeah, I like that the Continental, the studio, like kind of a main place for what was Paramount, what was
Yeah,
TriStar, Columbia,
it feels
what
like
was MGM.
yeah, it feels like an amalgam of all sorts of different old style,
Yeah.
like your Universals, like your Paramounts. It's like tries to roll them up into a ball to make a generic, independent, old style movie studio, and I think it does a pretty good job at like taking elements of all of those different studios.
Yeah, and every episode is just new cameos, just new faces.
Yeah,
I think that's one of my best parts.
that's
Like, oh, who's going to be in this
right.
episode?
The
Like, who are they going to
number
reference
one
now?
thing that is my favorite thing about the approach here is yes, there's a little bit of overarching plot. There are a couple episodes that are connected. There are things that happen in previous episodes that do get referred to or featured in later episodes, especially the finale and the episode before it are linked.
Hmm.
But it does have the freedom of going in different directions on a week-to-week basis. It was a weekly show when they did it. I mean, you can binge it now if you choose to. But I think it works way better as a weekly show, and it brings back that kind of old sitcom vibe of, oh, we're just going to do a different thing every week. When the second episode started, I expected it to pick up where the first one ended, and it didn't. And a wave of relief cascaded over me. I was like, oh, this is what this show is. Oh, that's so cool. Like, finally, we're back to where you don't have to do the Netflix thing anymore on every single show. It felt freeing, and I felt like that let the show have more fun with all sorts of different concepts of it's what television used to be able to do, right? Is take a premise and every episode explore different aspects of that premise. And this still does that to a large degree, and that's awesome. It gives the show opportunity to explore all sorts of different things about running a studio as opposed to trying to just dramatize a single plot for 10 episodes.
Well, if you wanted to dramatize a single plot over a studio, you could watch The Franchise on HBO, or you
Right.
could watch
Yeah.
Succession on HBO, or you could watch The Wire on HBO. Not that's related to either two, just that you should watch at some point The Wire on HBO. But what that like the studio does that I think we like that we gravitate to is that it takes the concepts from the After Party season one, also starring
Mhm.
Dave Franco,
Yeah.
and adds to that where each episode is I'll start Ike Berghaus. Why not start with that? Where every
Yeah.
episode is a different thing, has a different genre attached to it. I do think that they lean into the wonders a little bit too much, but I think that also kind of adds to the
Yeah.
chaos of it.
And that's the one thing I will say about the show. I think the actual show is really well written. It's very funny and very entertaining. It is a little distracting. You're right. The way that they present it. Again, like I said a few weeks ago, it is kind of impressive that they are able to pull off what they're able to pull off here. Like we've talked about before, that people shooting a television show or a movie is very hard to do, and they
Mhm.
make it seem easy on this show. But you're right, it's a little bit distracting that it's shot in a lot of oneers and it's shot like kind of this prestigey kind of way. Also, I didn't know until I read a headline today that the soundtrack is the Birdman guy.
I mean, the other winner, the Oscar winner.
Speaking of oneers, yes.
Yes.
The guy who did the soundtrack was the guy who did Birdman, and apparently he did this project because he wants to stop being the one-hit wonder guy who was the guy from Birdman. And
Well, he
to his
might just do
credit,
it. Yeah.
yeah, to his credit, I didn't realize it was him. But that's the thing is like I feel like the technical aspects of the show kind of take a back seat, at least for me, because I was enjoying the actual show so much. I wasn't really thinking about the technical aspects after the pilot. You're right. That pilot, it bashes you over the head with that right away. You're like, oh wait, okay, we're following Seth Rogen as he's going through this building the whole time. And
Mhm.
eventually, you kind of stop thinking about it. At least that's what happened to me. And so by the end of it, I was less thinking less about the technical aspects. But you're right, they do exist, and they're trying some big swings here. And I think that's why this will be probably the biggest Emmy bait that Apple TV Plus has this year. I think this is definitely the thing that they're going to be pushing come Emmys time.
Well, see, that's the thing that I couldn't stop thinking about every time a new scene came up was, okay, how long is this one going to run for? Like, how
Uh,
much chaos is this going to occur? Especially
yeah.
when you have just long shots of Seth Rogen, like you said, walking through a studio, walking through a restaurant, walking through a hotel, just to get to the next like location. Instead of just doing a straight jump cut,
Mhm.
you're sitting with him, you're being in his shoes, and you're going over like the struggle, as you can see on his face and in Seth Rogen's actions of, okay,
Mhm.
I have my goal, but also I need to make sure I accomplish this other goal from the previous scene. So it does help with that breadth of feeling
Yeah.
like you're with Seth Rogen on this journey of trying to appease everybody.
It does
But
make
that's
it feel kinetic. It does make it feel intimate in a way. And yeah, it does feel like you're laser targeted on like, okay, what is this character thinking right now?
mhm,
It works in that way for sure.
yes. The one thing I just can't get over, and it's just part of the ride, just part of what the show is that the cause of and solution to everything is that same character.
Yeah. I mean,
Like if they could
I
just
think
get
that's
out
the
of their
point,
own
right?
way,
Yeah.
things would run a whole lot smoother.
I think that's the point, right? Is like it's telling two stories. It's telling
Yes.
it's I think what it's doing is yeah, it's like two-sided. It's of course focusing on um I
Seth
forgot his
Rogen.
name for a second, Seth Rogen's character, and how he's basically he's not somebody who's built for this kind of role. He's too wishy-washy, he's too insecure, and he's too all over the place. But at the same time, it's also saying that like, look how ridiculous the job of running a movie studio is. Isn't it insane that we pay people like millions of dollars to do a job where everything is arbitrary and you're just throwing darts at the wall, like constantly? And it does both of those things at the same time and is basically a show about the balance between two of those things. And yeah, one is a commentary on the other, right? Where it's like saying, like, yeah, a complete idiot can do this job and somehow just stumble into success or failure depending on the arbitrary decisions he has to make in the moment, and none of it makes sense. And you're working with total bozos. A lot of it did give me flashbacks about when I did work with some bozos in an internship I once had. If
You
those
had a
bozos are
revelation, didn't
listening,
you?
ha ha ha! Don't. The studio no longer exists, thankfully. But yeah, if you're the bozo and you're listening to this somehow or found this somehow, I'm sorry. But yeah, it did remind me. It's like, oh, working in Hollywood and Hollywood adjacent kind of businesses is a very unique animal, and this is one of the better depictions of how insane that animal can get.
Yeah. I also talk about the ending real quick. Is
Yeah.
that at the very end you get this very, and then everyone applauded kind of reaction. Everyone stood up and applauded, and as I'm watching at the very end, the last scene, and then it cuts to black. I just had this really jarring experience that's like, this is exactly what they did 10 years ago with Draft Day. They made it seem like Kevin Costner's character, who's also, by the way, running the organization, head completely cut off, doesn't know what he's doing for the full day, at the very end, makes these incredible moves and makes the draft pick. And like everyone's like holding and cheering and feels like they like came away with like this magic source of like, this next season is going to be great. But
You're right.
one, they're the Cleveland Browns. Two, it's still the Continental. And three, you
Yeah.
don't win with applause. You
Right.
win with success at the box office. And because it cuts there at the
Hmm.
very end,
Yes.
you don't see how well these films actually do.
Right. And you don't know about the big cliffhanger, which is does the studio get sold? And
Mhm.
I think that's the only reason why that finale it works. I actually felt it was kind of a weaker episode compared to the ones that preceded it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason it works in the end is that yeah, it is an effective kind of coda to the season. Um, and yeah, you're right. You nailed it. Is like that feeling of like, oh, these idiots. They think they pulled it off, don't they? They think they did it right now, but there's no way they actually pulled this off. There's no way
Right.
this
Because at the end
succeeds.
of the day, they're still the Cleveland Browns. They're still going to go 6 and
Yeah.
10.
They're still the Cleveland Browns of Hollywood, and they're
They're still
going to
going to
fail.
end up being getting the top five pick year after year because of the organization.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's an excellent show. Like I said, watch this at Emmy's
Mhm.
time because I do think it's going to be a heavy hitter. Hollywood loves Hollywood. I think that
Yes.
there will be a lot of reasons, and they love Seth Rogen, so I think there'll be a lot of reasons to throw support behind the studio. And Apple TV Plus could have a breakthrough night in that way. Although, they already had their years with Ted Lasso, but here's their big comeback, I think. Because, yeah, it's easily probably the best TV show I watched all year.
Well, you need to watch more TV shows, especially since The Bear is coming back in June.
Coming soon.
But except this Bear
Watch
is
this
for
space. It's
the
coming.
following Emmy season.
Yes, yes. Don't get too excited about this bear. All
Yes.
right. That's it for thoughts. Let's move on to cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
So there's actually no cancellations and renewals. I lied to you, but there are some deaths we need to talk about. Couple of ones this week. I'll start with the other one first. Kathleen Hughes, age 96, was an actor. Was in It Came from Outer Space. 96, long life.
Among other films, one of the original Screen crew.
Scream
Screen queens
Queens.
of the screen.
Yeah, good job.
I got there.
Squeams is a very funny word.
Yes.
Um, but also this week we lost George Wendt, age 77, actor, of course, famous for things like Fletch, but also most importantly, Cheers, in which he was, say it with me, Norm.
No.
So yeah, we lost Norm this week. I saw a lot of people post on social media that they were having a good beer for Norm. So yes, George Wendt will be missed. Also notable for the way I remember him, because I'm a child of the 90s. Do you remember the Animaniacs sketch where they're in the mall and the survey ladies accost them and they're trying to get them to take a survey? And for some reason, most of the survey questions involve George Wendt.
Hmm.
Just Google George Wendt Animaniacs or Animaniacs survey ladies, and I think you'll find the sketch. But yeah, anyway.
I remember the sketch. Yes, I did ever made the connection.
Yeah, George. Then it's like, do you want to take a survey with George Wendt, or do you want to eat
Yes.
peanuts with George? I forget what it was, but anyway, so that's what I immediately thought of. But yes, we will miss Norm dearly.
All
Then
right.
you also just added one. The owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, passed at age 77.
Yes. A couple of days ago, Jim Irsay, big Colts fan because he's a Colts owner, but also big Prince fan. He
Ah,
paid Buco bucks for a lot of Prince memorabilia.
sure.
Don't know where that's going to go now, but I'm sure someone somewhere is really happy. Well, not that Jim Irsay died, but
No,
that collection may be coming up for auctions at some point
I
soon.
mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll go back to the Prince estate. Who knows?
Also, with the owner now passing away, you expect to see the Colts organization for
Yes,
NFL to have a big Jim Irsay tribute come
mm,
opening day,
I would
black
imagine.
patches on the
Yeah.
helmets, on the uniform, and hopefully inspires them to go to the Super Bowl.
You're just crossing your fingers for a cult renaissance.
A Colts versus Rams Super Bowl. It can happen.
It can happen. It probably
Not
won't,
that
but
it
it
will, but
can
it can.
happen.
As of now, they have the exact same chance as any other team out there.
It's true. You're right.
Everyone starts the season 0-0.
True. All right. Let's move on out of television and into the movie section. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. And I did it again, folks. I'm
To
on
be
fire. I am the Shohei Ohtani of box office guesses because I bet that Final Destination Bloodlines would beat Thunderbolts in the box office this week, and I was correct. The tune of $51 million.
See,
You're
yes,
welcome.
that's way over what I thought because I
Hmm.
said, you gotta get over 20. Thunderbolts, I came at 2 at 16. But which I thought, okay, you gotta get
Hmm.
over at least 15 to 16 to 20 to be the number one.
Yeah.
It blew past that. It
You
practically
under
doubled that number.
what did I say last week? I said don't underestimate the brand recognition of Final Destination. This is not just any horror movie. This is Final Destination. People love Final Destination. It is the millennial like Halloween essentially. It was a touchstone of millennial cinema. We're old enough now where we can just fuck off and go to the movies on the weekend, and we all flocked to theaters to see Final Destination. I
Yes,
mean,
we
I
all
didn't,
flocked off to go
but
to the movie theaters.
yeah, love to flock off. Flock off Friday. Anyways, yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines, $51 million in its debut. Congratulations. And like you said, Thunderbolts is at number two with 16 million. So yeah, I didn't even make that 20.
Yep.
That's at 155 million domestic so far, though. So doing decent. It'll
Decent, but
crawl to
still
200.
underperforming compared to Captain
Yeah,
America Brave New
certainly.
World, which was a February release.
Yeah. Number three, Sinners, still hanging in there, $15 million. That's at 240. Smash hit. Number four,
Mhm.
a Minecraft movie. Speaking of smash hits, another $5.8 million. That's at 416. And that's just domestic, folks. Number five, The Accountant 2, still around. $4.9 million. That's at 59 domestic. And in case you were wondering about The Weeknd, who also had a premiere this week with Hurry Up Tomorrow, well, to the tune of Nobody Cared, it only made $3.3 million at number six.
Now, to be fair, $3.3 billion would have been a number one movie in January
Yeah.
of 2021.
But here's the thing. This is what was expected to be a weekend breakthrough, but it got slammed critically. It was the one of the worst reviewed movies of the year so far. I believe for a little bit it was sitting at like 9% on Metacritic, went out to about like 22, I think.
Mhm.
So still really, really bad reviews. So nobody cared. No one's talking about this. And even the people who saw it hated it. The Weeknd does not have a Hollywood future, I would guess.
Well, at least Jenna Ortega may still have a
Yes.
Hollywood future.
Gina Ortega will be fine. I do think it's funny that this coincided with the Weeknd going back on his whole I might get rid of calling myself the Weeknd after this record, and it's
Yes.
now like, I don't know, maybe I'll still be the Weeknd. It's like,
Maybe y'all liked me when I was the weekend.
oh yeah, movies and TV didn't work out for you. You go crawling back to music. Okay. Anyway.
Anyways,
But what's upcoming this week is, as you mentioned before, two heavy hitters that I do not know how this is going to shake out. Because in the same weekend, we have Disney's live action reboot of Lilo and Stitch versus the final reckoning for Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Both those movies hit the theaters the same day. Which direction do you think this goes? You actually get first call here because I got it last week. So
I
what do you
get
think?
first call here,
Yeah.
and I am going to go with the dying breed of a movie star that Tom Cruise, name alone, Mission Impossible, name alone, will put butts in the seat.
Okay.
Calling it the Final Reckoning is good move. Not calling it Reckoning Part 2, like it
Yeah.
was, Dead Reckoning Part 2, like it was gonna be. Calling it the Final Reckoning, meaning this is the final, implying, not
Mm.
saying it is, but implying that this is the final Mission Impossible movie. Marketing has been spectacular for this. Tom Cruise, I'm sorry, Olympic
Hmm.
torch carrier
Yes.
Tom
Yes.
Cruise headlining here. Like I said, last of a dying breed of someone who can go out there and just make box office gold any
Hmm.
weekend, specifically a Memorial weekend.
Yes.
My money is on the Scientologist.
Said no one ever. Um, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. I will agree with you that it is Mission Impossible, and that means that you have to pick a number.
All right.
So pick a number and whether you're going over or under. And that's how we're going to do it this week.
Okay. So, Final Destination came out to the tune of $50 million. dollars.
Hmm. This will be bigger.
This will be bigger than that.
Hmm.
Sinners came out to $60 million. dollars. This will be bigger.
This will be bigger.
Minecraft came out to
100.
140, I think. I don't think it'll be bigger just because Mission Impossible is R rated.
No,
No,
PG-13,
no,
man.
gee, no, they're not R
PG-13.
rated. Yeah.
PG-13.
So let's
It
do that.
could.
Let's put it the Minecraft line.
Okay. All
140.
right. And the big question then, are you going over or under that? Be careful.
Be careful. It is a Tom Cruise movie. It is a Scientologist movie. I will take the over.
Over. Okay. All right. I feel okay with this. That means I will go under. I feel
I
okay with
think
this because I
140 is a
think you're
fine
right.
line.
I think you're right, but Minecraft is Minecraft, and I think as impressive Mission Impossible will be, I think it will be impressive in the way that it debuts pretty good and stays good. I
Mhm.
don't think it will be a shatter box office Memorial Day records. Actually, I'm curious. Let's do our research real quick. What is Memorial Day box office record?
Well, and then at the same time, what is the Mission Impossible
So I'm
opening
glad we
weekend?
already chose our things because I'm seeing some leading
Yeah,
headlines.
already.
That
Yeah,
means like we could be wrong. So
that's
I'm glad
okay.
we already set this in stone. Um, so let me see. I want to see all-time record. Okay, here we go. Holiday opening weekends, Memorial Day box office mojo. Top Gun Maverick has the record from 2022 with 160 million. So It's
160
possible.
million. Okay.
It's possible. But 140, only one movie has ever made over 140 on that weekend, and it is Top Gun Maverick. The number two, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End in 2007, made 139.
All right. Looking at the Mission Impossible opening weekends, the top one is Mission Impossible Fallout at 61 million,
Mhm.
followed by Mission Impossible 2 at 57. Sorry, no, sorry. Dead Reckoning at 54 million.
Mm.
Mission
Okay.
Impossible 2, 57 million. Rogue Nation 55 million. So
Yes.
it opens to about $50 billion, $60
So yeah,
million.
I am. That's just why I'm saying I'm glad we did that before we did the research because this is good. This is the only way this works. Because if we're doing research, this whole thing breaks. So,
Right.
so yeah, no, that's works. This works. I feel good about where we're standing here because you could be right. You could be very wrong. The data is all over the place, so we'll find out.
We will see because it is a long weekend, 4 days
Yeah, I won't
or
be
3 day
here to
weekend,
collect my
4 day weekend.
prize though when I win, but
Yes, when
I'll
you
find
come
out.
back.
All right.
But in the meantime,
In the meantime, we have movie news to get through, or more accurately, movie news.
I
Eh?
was hoping you didn't make that
Eh?
joke.
See what I? Yeah, it's the easy joke. Yeah,
I know.
movie. Coming off of a strong year following their big Oscar push with The Substance, have won out in a multi-distributor tug of war for another possible Oscars contender in Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson's Cannes competition film Die My Love. The deal is for $24 million with full domestic theatrical commitment on 1,500 screens for 45 days and international territories across the UK and Europe. It's the first major deal this year for a film playing at Cannes, and by far Mubi's biggest acquisition ever, competing against Apple, Neon, and others that were also in the mix. Last year, as I mentioned, Mubi became a big Oscar contender with The Substance and looks to repeat that success here as well. So, what is Die My Love? It is set in rural America. It is a portrait of a married woman, Jennifer Lawrence, mental disintegration, again, Jennifer Lawrence, because that's all she plays, as a postnatal depression consumes and obliterates her. Reviews have varied for the movie, but plenty of critics were fired up by Lawrence's performance. So they're betting on another big Best Actress push here. Jennifer Lawrence has a couple of Oscars already under her belt. I could see it happening again.
Yep. She has been out of the spotlight for quite a while, where she
Mhm.
has had children.
Unless you count that comedy she was in.
Do we? Because I thought that was shot beforehand. It just sounds shells.
Oh yeah, maybe it did. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. She's good in that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Robert Pattinson, also Oscar favorite, playing the
Yeah.
opposite in the husband role,
Mhm.
and dealing with, you know, depression and uh it's might not be for everybody. I'll just put that out there. This
Yeah,
might
it's
not
used.
be a film for everyone and might not
Yeah.
make that 24 million at the box office, but I
Eh.
don't think that's what movie's looking at right now.
Right. No, they're looking for prestige, and this will get them that. That's heavy themes. It's very Oscar baity, and it has an Oscar, couple of Oscar winners now. I think yeah, it could be a success for them in the same way that The Substance was with a very different kind of movie. Um, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This could be good.
Yeah, it could be good. It gets full distribution, which is good for these types of films. It
Mhm.
will continue to play in those festival circuits to
Yep.
get teams generate critics and buzz and word of mouth. So
Mhm.
we may see Die My Love come next year Oscar season.
You'll see.
Hold this space.
Hold the space. All right, let's move on. Let's wrap up this show and the movie section by talking about the thing that we've been hovering around all episode, which of course is Marvel's Thunderbolts asterisk. You finally saw this.
I finally saw it. I finally had time to go to the movies, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Gone are the days of 52 films in a year. Yeah, once, just once.
Once,
I like
just once.
I just say I did it. I did do that. But yeah, the latest Marvel movie is out. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. I'll be real brief on it because if you haven't seen it by now, chances are you're just gonna wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of film. Yes, it's still a team up. Yes, it is kind of plays on that Suicide Squad genre of anti-heroes being heroes or just doing heroic things, but it then subverts everything about that. And instead of being a fistum, a fisticuffs, shoot
I'm
'em up
sorry.
kind of ending,
What happens in
fisting to
this movie?
fisticuffs. Yeah,
Okay, fisticuffs. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Instead of just fighting everything out, it does the thing that Captain America tried to do, but I think kind of faltered because of reshoots and
Mm,
everything, is talking out your issues, talking out your problems, trying to talking out why you're feeling this way, why you're in the void, why you're
mm,
being destructive. While that seems to not really work well with the Captain America going up against the Hulk vibe, I get it because Hulk angry, mad, calm down. Yes, it works that way, but for some reason the speech didn't quite work as well as the Captain America speech in Falcon Winter Soldier, which was the do better speech, and I like that speech a
sure.
lot better. Here, it's more about being better, even if you're not better yourself, being a better person, even if you don't like your situation, being a better light, being a better person to
Mm,
those around you, that you don't have to be in the same destructive pattern. And it's cool that they're able to sew in those themes throughout this film from the beginning to the open title sequence to the end. I
mm,
think this is a good example of what Marvel used to do well, which was a good themed through writing that you can see from
mm,
the start to the end instead of being stitched together through reshoots through a mess happening, through a messed up, jumbled up schedule. That you can have these scenes, even if some of them are pickup shots that you can see them referencing other stuff that came before it,
mm.
but at least they've thrown in there where it's more organic in terms of release and not felt like it's a forced reshoot where you have to have a person on a phone in a car explaining backstories that already happened. You have
Do you
people like already like in an organic setting making these kind of updates in the
uh,
MCU world.
do you think that that's a benefit of being one of the first of these Marvel projects that is wholly and completely developed and shot after the pandemic?
Probably. I
Yeah.
think it has a lot to do with that. It also has a lot to do with not trying to be forced to a schedule, which was the big thing that
Mm,
happened with Captain America,
right.
is that they already announced that Captain America was getting his own movie, and it would be before Doomsday and uh Fantastic Four, which is already in development. So that Captain America was beholden to a date that probably shouldn't have been beholden to, but because the slate movies that were lined up after it, it had to physically make that date in order for other stuff to happen. That you couldn't really have the Thunderbolts film the way it ends come before Captain America
Mm,
because of what happens in it.
okay.
So I think that because the Thunderbolts was more or less stuck in stone into its release date, upcoming Fantastic Four stuck in stone to its upcoming release date, the upcoming Avengers Doomsday stuck in stone because of its release date. That I think those being
Well,
set in stone,
uh,
more asterisks,
as of today, that's no longer the case. I don't know if
right?
you saw this right before we went live. Both Avengers movies have slipped a few months. They're both moving to later in the year.
Right, yeah, I figured, but at least they're still coming out within that year. They're not
Right.
shuffling up the
No.
schedule release as much, which comes to my next point of like the upcoming Spider-Man 4 movie
Uh,
with Tom Holland, whenever that comes out. That's trying to fit a narrow needle to get the set a specific release date between two films. I have very worries about that film,
yeah,
whereas compared to like
that's
Thunderbolts and
fair.
coming Fantastic Four, where those are wholly like created, like you said, outside of the
Mm,
pandemic, outside of beholden to specific release dates, that they can be more than trying to fit this overall arching narrative.
yeah. Um, so going back to the thematic stuff you're talking about at the beginning, both thematically and sense of like comedy wise, it does seem like a lot of people are making comparisons to this and the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that a comparison you would make?
Yes, not quite as funny, but more of like tongue in cheek
Yeah.
humor about it. Whereas I felt Guardians of the Galaxy was a lot more funny. There was a lot more like, I am making this joke. This is the joke of the that I'm making here. Whereas Thunderbolts is more like, oh, like observational humor
Sure.
of like, oh yeah, like, no, like we're gonna fight up against the god and no one can like fly or like has super strength. Like we have super strength, but
Yeah.
that's it. Like, what are you gonna do against someone who can like throw you through a window or whatever?
Yeah. And then the last question is, for that I had going into this, because this has been a weird one. It's been one of the rare Marvel movies that actually people are like, yeah, actually, there's
Mhm.
something to Thunderbolts. And so people are already talking about like, oh, that there could be a pretty positive future for these characters. Do you think that this is the start of kind of a mini Avengers team that we're going to see in future films as well?
Maybe, but not necessarily, because what Marvel has done is that they've essentially split off between the movie division and the TV division. So Thunderbolts is now firmly in the movie division, even though
Mm,
the characters came from the TV division.
mm,
But it does feel like a solid follow-up for anyone who did watch Black Widow, the Black Widow film. It does
right.
feel like a good sequel to that film.
Yeah, I understand that it pays off a couple of things that hadn't been paid off yet from that
Yes.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
Well,
more like
cool.
a Black Widow 2 movie than it does an Avengers movie. But a lot of the Black Widow kind of backstory is that they are assassins for hire. And so, what if you don't want to be an assassin? What if you want to do more than just what you were trained for? And that's what a lot of the things in this film is. What if you want to be more than what your current situation is? And it plays that really well in that through line. It doesn't jump around and like kind of like knock it off or like
Mm,
knock around that those kind of things. Like it sticks to it and it nails it like as a full like through line. And that's what I think people are glomming onto and giving this like the better praise.
cool. All right, cool. So, in the sense of like being one of the better Marvel movies in a while, that sounds like a success, I think, for
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. So, cool. That's a good recommend. Check that out if you're been jonesing for some good Marvel. Otherwise, like you said, just wait for Disney Plus. It'll be there soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. That'll do it then for the movie section, and that'll do it for this week's Media Boat podcast. I think that was a good show today. That's felt like a lot of cool stuff, and it didn't take very long. What we aim for here.
Yes. That's what we aim for. The cool stuff.
Yes, cool stuff, and not taking that long. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week for another episode, but until then, you can find us in video form on our YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications when new videos go up. You can also catch us on podcast services all over the place. Just search Media Boat Podcast in your service of choice. You can also find us on the internet. We're on MediaBoatPodcast.com, which is an archive of our shows as well as some writing that we've done. You can also find us on social media platforms, including Blue Sky, where we are mediaboat.bsky.social. You can also find us occasionally playing video games, well, more specifically, Mike occasionally playing video games on twitch.tv/mediaboat. And last but definitely not least, if you want to ask us questions, give us feedback, point out any inaccuracies, or yell at us for whatever you want to do, or just hear your question read on the show, all of that can be done by emailing us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. All right. We'll see you guys next week for just Mike. But he'll
Yep.
give you all the news, all the thoughts he's got that on that episode. So
Yep.
tune in.
I got a solo show with all me, with all the Memorial Day stuff that happened. Of course, the Indy
Yes.
500 happens over Memorial
Yes.
Weekend.
There you go. So
Yes,
we'll
all
talk
those
about that.
laps.
All
All
right.
that and more next time. Okay,
See ya.
bye.